All right. YouTube changed how the beta studio works. Hey, looks like everything's working all right. Inky at Damn Cat Studios. Nice to see you here, as always. That was quick. That was real quick. I'm not gonna agree with you on this one. Oh no, give it all you've got. Give it all you've got. I just wanna, I, the thing is, I realize that any kind of opinion that I have on this is just based on, what's going on with this and with this, and it's not a universal sort of thing. Because, I mean, I don't know. It's funny. I have my opinions, and then I'm looking at myself and going, ha 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 ha, really now? But I'm like, yeah. So I don't know. You know what that means? How could anyone know what that means? Sonic Neutronic. Nice to see you here as well. Yeah, anything you guys have to say on the subject would be cool. That's what I'm fishing for here. The thing is, I was gonna go live like last night, and I was thinking about it the night before too. But the thing is, it just that there ended up being more and more to watch on the subject and to learn on the subject. So that would possibly change how I feel or think, or answer a lot of the questions that I was having, which did. And so I don't really have any questions anymore, and so it's really time to live stream about this. Oh, yeah, really like. Okay, yeah. Inky says I really like them, but they're twice the price they should be, and I love them, but consider. And I will do a video, okay, if you get an MPC and XL. 16 times. Okay, well, yeah. Yeah, there's all sorts of ways to compare these things. To me, I've got some weird kind of ideas going on that's just kind of like about how workflow works. Not so much about like I know the features. It's kind of like not what a lot of people would be looking for. And the thing about it, I would, some might say it's like straightforward. It's kind of like straightforward. It's kind of like boring, maybe. The sort of TRS or TR8S and the new 707 look and workflow sort of thing. But the thing is, 3 years ago when I started this, I was filling notebooks with these ideas of like before I even knew how synthesizers worked. That it wasn't just like oscillator, filter, reverb, delay, volume fader, and then you come out to all your tracks being each an oscillator or something like that. I don't know. I envisioned this machine, and I wanted to do. Then when I realized that there wasn't anything like that in hardware, then I was like, okay, I wanna build it in modular, and I looked at the 5U stuff and then other stuff, and I was like, no way. And then so I was thinking of MIDI controllers, and I don't know if everyone remembers Livid controllers. They did a lot of good button-based and other types of controllers, and a lot of custom, and that was cool stuff. And while I was looking at a lot of that, it was kind of like, it's like I could use those components to build my own stuff, but it's still like, it was so hard to think about how do I build this machine that maybe is going to be a good controller for the digital workstations. particularly Ableton Live that was in the box. And so what I'm really leading on to here is that I started out using Ableton Live, right? And so the thing is about the controller, and then so I go to my music store, and they after a few times convinced me, I convinced myself to go ahead and pick up these, right? And kind of like this ended up being what I wanted, except for one thing, and that's that this whole clip launching thing. I didn't understand it at first, and I was like, no, that's not what I want. What I want is a sequencer, something that goes like this, sequencer. And that's what I envisioned, or like down like this. And I was like, oh, wait a minute. Oh yeah, that is kind of like what it does. And then it was like, it kind of changed my thinking about everything. But then I really love the way I used clip launching in Ableton Live, but what didn't mesh with me was the whole computer interface and having to deal with the rest of the DAW besides the things that I actually wanted to do, which were really simple things, having to do with sequencing tracks in MIDI, but somehow not on the piano roll. Somehow the piano roll just did not mesh with me. So anyway, yeah, I could go on and on that portion, but I'm sorry. Mapping MPC to XL is easy. Yeah, and I was saying in my last live stream that it's really cool that the Deluge can take a USB hub and take multiple controllers into it, so I could do more than one of these and take care of all my tracks on the Deluge and whatnot. And so that's what I was looking at before this bomb dropped of I shouldn't say that, of the Roland 707 and the 101. The 101 being sharp competition for the circuit, right? But maybe not for everybody, because they'd be like very different things, but for me. But okay, so one thing about the 707 is it ticks a lot of boxes for me that gets me stop looking at other gear, and looking at synthesizers, and wondering about whether I need some new kind of sound or new kind of synthesis or synthesizer that uses one and stuff like that. So, and I talked about this a week or two ago, and how I just kind of like hit a wall, and I hit a place where I looked around in my studio and I realized, oh, this is the time to like more define the walls of your machine a little bit better, and then just find the one workflow that you can keep on working on finally at last, now that you have all the info to choose what you want to do. But here's the deal, is with the Deluge, I could do a lot of things on that one box. But the other thing is, with multi-timbral rack synths, that could be sequenced from multiple channels are nice as well, and stuff like that too. And the reason why I would want modules like that, sound modules and stuff like that, is because I actually want to easily access a lot of nature sounds and acoustic instruments, and also electric piano that aren't necessarily synthesized or having to be a patch made by me every time I go to do it, or in the first place, when a lot of when there's good electric piano sounds out there already, and that are better than what I could learn how to do in a short amount of time. So things like that are what the 707 does for me, that a lot of standalone stuff has teased, good sounds and stuff. I'm sure the Deluge, I've listened to everything. The Deluge does have good sounds, and it also has good synth sounds, but as far as sounds go, the kind of sound library I always kind of wanted was more like what Roland had going on the Integra 7, and more like what Yamaha has going on its Motif. The thing is, like, old workstation synths would have been great. Speaking of the 707, old workstation synth, Roland XP60 has that same. When Loopop's video, he went in depth on the synthesizer part of it. I realized, oh yeah, it's got that 4 parts in the same way, and everything works kind of very similarly to that. And so I kind of understood, oh yeah, it's like it's got those parts that you can all put together on one synth sound, and then it'll be on one synth track. That's one thing I like about the 707. The other thing is about drums. The TR-8S I like a lot, but I have to confess, for the first time now, I'm confessing about the thing that I don't like is those glassy buttons. I don't like the feel of them, and somehow the workflow didn't seem quite right yet. And with this new Beat Step, Arturia Beat Step Pro type of layout for the sequencer on the 707, that is more desirable to me for making drums, and so I'd much rather have my whole set of drums, like a whole drum kit like that, on the 707 on one track than I would to have a whole TR-8S over there, except that it looks cool to have 11 faders, but on one box, but that's okay. I like the idea of, but the thing is, what the 707 can't do, when some of its failings, is that whole thing about, the Deluge MIDI tracks are separate from synth tracks, are separate from CV tracks, are separate from, and you can make as many as you want, that sort of thing. And so it really is quite a bit more than something like the 707. So we don't need to compare them, except for the fact that if you're looking at a 707, you might, and you don't already know about the Deluge, you might want something that's a lot more. And if you do, then go ahead and go for the Deluge. And so, obviously, that's still in the plan, but it kind of, like, my plan kind of got by the 707, because I think the 707 is more urgent. In terms of satisfying the more easier workflow, I guess. So I'm revealing my bread and butterness, I guess. I'm just like a lazy person. I want to create an easy, straightforward workflow for myself, and I've looked at MPC, the MPC Live. Inky says, have you looked at the MPC Live? The MPC Live, or at an MPC at all, and the X looks great as well, obviously. Yeah, perfect. It's just a matter of, what do you envision yourself doing? To sequence, to record, to do all that stuff. So, like, I think the 707 will be pretty good for me, and a lot better than the 505, which is what I've been used to up until now. 505 here. I have been, that's what started it all. That was actually a gift from a friend. And who felt like they owed me a lot, and they didn't want it anymore. So I started my idea with that, and what I wanted was backing tracks. And if you want is backing tracks, and you want to not just have to record them in, where am I? And not want to have to record them in, then and you want just an easy way to sequence those in so that they're quantized and they work together, synced together with you a little bit better, then you can do that. You're still, okay, I realize, down to earth, you're still going to have the same issue sampling clips in, having to deal with them being off sync from everything else, even when everything is trying to be on sync as much as it can in the box with time stretching and all that. You still are going to be off sync with yourself until you maybe change the start point and end point. And even then, there's always the possibility of that not quite working out if there's some kind of rhythmic thing going on. It doesn't do splicing and slicing in the box, so it is kind of limited that way. But there's no reason why I didn't like MPC. I went from looking at MPC to liking Octatrack better, and then saying no to Octatrack when I was looking at the Poly-N Sec and the Deluge. And then I was thinking that I just wanted just a sequencer going on. But then, so if something has all the acoustic sounds on board, like the Deluge could, in a way that I can, and nature sounds and any sort of sample onto it, then okay, that's one thing. But the question is, why didn't I like the MPC? The button grid, I worked with it a little bit with my Arturia Mini, or my Arturia Keylab controller. I'm not sure I'm a fan of the button grid that way, working that way. I watched a lot of videos on it. I just wasn't sure. So I can't say anything bad about it. There's just too many good things, and I've said that before. That's the sequencer wars for me are about how they're all just as great as you need them to be, right? And that's the truth. So it's just up to flavors after that. And so I started out in Ableton, went to the circuit, and so I'm seeing the 707 as sort of in between the Ableton clip launching thing and what I wanted for workflow, which I got with the circuit, and I got really into and comfortable with working with the circuit now. And I was gonna trash the circuit. I was like, oh yeah, no, at some point I'm gonna sell it or give it away or something like that, or just not use it in my studio anymore because I'm going to more serious stuff or something like that. Yeah. And actually that thought kind of offends me now, kind of like it offended me originally before I even got a circuit when I heard Nick Bat and people saying, and a whole lot of other people, and most people it seemed like, saying about the circuit, oh, it's great to sketch things on, and I'm just like, it sounds great. You shouldn't keep saying things like that about it when it can be so much more than that for somebody who uses it more and puts more into it. It's not just a sketch thing. Anyway, right? But MPC is definitely not a sketch thing. But I don't know. Yeah, there's that. There's also the Squid. Yeah. But no, I am definitely gonna plug a key step in Yeah. Yeah, the MPC Live is in particular, I think, is amazing, and it's one of the most beautiful pieces of gear there could be. I mean, could you imagine like the type of things that I, like to fill my studio with? That would just be like, yep, it fits. It'd be great. And I like that companies in general have gone that route recently. It's just like, it seems like everybody's listening to me in a way. but it's the other way around. It's just that I'm listening a lot, enough to know about everything. So I want to spread that. Yes, we love our circuits. Yeah, I really do. So I think I might use my LCXL more to give faders to my circuit. That's the other thing, is I always needed faders. And yeah, so I was thinking maybe another one of these is good, and that's why I think the 707's good. That's why I always liked and drooled over the TR-8S. Yeah, we definitely joined the music party at the right time. Yeah, so what else? There was actual pointed things. Was there pointed things I was gonna say? Sonic Neutronic says, awesome as a hybrid controller, host, and MIDI router effects unit. Yeah. Yeah, the effects is just... Well, what blows me away is, like, the thought that with the 707, there's no more me going to Reverb ever again and drooling over old 90s modules that have all the sounds on them. And no more thinking about things like the Blofeld and the Peak and, the other new stuff that's been coming out, the Jupiter XD, because the thing is, the 707's going to have all the same stuff as the Jupiter XD, so why are you going to... Well, yeah, so actually, I think between all the things that they've come out with, the prices kind of make sense. If you think about what's inside the Jupiters and what's inside the 707 and 101, I would say people should maybe pay the $500 and get the 101, even though I totally understand on the price on all of them is just kind of like that way. But if you think about it, they're just being smart and getting as much as they can out of you, but the value of the products is actually there. For that price and more, it's just compared to other things. Bo said this. I agree exactly how Bo said it when he said there's just competition. And it's not like the gear isn't worth that much to you. It's worth way more than that to us who actually get it when you get it. But it's, hey, this is a market. We could get something else. The MC-505 is far more powerful. From the 90s, yeah. Oh, what I really like is the MC-909. Oh my gosh, the 909 is just a beast. That is a monster. I love it. I love the look of it. It's just really cool. And I actually love the sound, too. Some people have done YouTube videos that I've seen. One guy that I actually was talking to. Yeah, and so... Yeah. So that's the thing, is nothing new. Maybe people who say, "Oh, there's Roland's not giving us anything new," ha ha ha. Yeah, you could say that, sure, because they made those Grooveboxes before, and for some reason nobody's been doing it. Somebody said, was it hands-on sound on sound? Ah, shoot, somebody did hands-on something video. And he mentioned that Grooveboxes, after the last Roland Groovebox was that they did in 2007, that Grooveboxes kind of lost favor, and things that had the sound on them that you do like that kind of lost favor to Ableton and DAWs and stuff like that at that point, and now it's coming back. And and that's what people have said. You got your 505 for $250? Wow. Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, and I've seen them around that and things like that, and even the 303 for pretty cheap. I mean, was it the 303, MC-303? Not the TB-303, but the MC-303. That's a cute looking one too. Or what was it? Which one? I don't remember now. There's too many of them. Yeah, and they were talking about them on that other show. Yeah. The thing is, okay, you said, yeah, we love our circuits. The circuit is a unique little thing. It's totally unique. It's got this workflow that, when you look at it, you don't quite know what's going on until, you get one or you watch enough videos and you look at everything and you know what's going on. And so, and it's great, right? But I'm going to shut it off now. But it's really interesting. And then the Deluge is the same way. It's like, it's great, it's really interesting, but it's from this boutique company. Same thing with the Polyend, the Sec. But, and that's really straightforward, actually. But there's something about the Roland Grooveboxes that's just like, okay, we're trying to make it so everyone can look at it and just go, oh yeah, that's what I'm supposed to do. So you can just look at all your tracks and go like, yep, there's my track. It has some of my controls there that I'm gonna need for the performance for each of those tracks. It's I can sequence something in right then. I can do it live. I can do a loop. I can I can step sequence something in and have it go and have it grow as it goes while everything else is going, and just keep on adding tracks like you do in a DAW. You can even bounce everything over by resampling everything into one track. Bounce it over into another clip, just its own clip. You can have different sounds on the same track going on, as long as if they're different clips, you can have a totally different sound in each clip, even if it's on the same track. Yeah, the mono station, that's why I got, this it's prime time to get your mono station right now. You just gotta wait sometimes. Everybody groaned about the price, just like everybody's groaning about the price of the Roland 707 and 101 and of the prices of the Jupiters too. Saying they're overpriced because it's just digital and they don't have to charge that much, blah, blah, blah. Right. But anyway, yeah, so... Oh, Canadian dollars, not US. MC-307. Okay, I will look that up, Pinky. I will look up the MC-307. That's cool. Yeah. So. Yeah. So yeah, I just wanted to get on and rave about it, and so everything's on hold until I get that. I've already been saving up. For the Deluge and the 707. Buy two. Okay. Wait, are you talking about the 707? Yeah, I'll buy two. Oh wait, the Moog 1. So you're talking about the Moog 1. Anyway, yeah. So back to the what did I put on here? Yeah, nothing I haven't already said. Yeah, the Digitact and the Deluge do this in ways that are unique. But yeah, the 707 is familiar. I was like, when I saw the 707, I was just like, there you are. That's the things that I drew in my notebook about how I wanted to work. I was just like, yeah, there's the volumes, there's the yeah, the faders are a huge thing. And the fact that they're rainbow, I love rainbows. I love colors, So, Oh, monostation. 2 monostations. Yeah. Yeah, that's great because, that's a lot of CV control as well. I thought about, 2 monostations can control a lot of Eurorack, actually. Yeah. And stuff. But so what do you think about the 101? Well, there's like no videos of it yet, hardly. So, but I think it's beautiful. I think the 101 is beautiful, and it's just like a perfect backpack synth, um, perfect companion to my circuit. Circuit and that you have so many things covered. It's just like a whole studio. It's great, or 2 of them. 2 of them would be the price of a 707, but then it would be portable, totally portable. But that's the trend right now. It's not the only thing that's gone that way. That's really cool. Some good battery-powered synths out there right now. I like the Modal Craft synth version 2 in particular. The way it sounds, it just sounds amazing. Oh, and by the way, on the subject of that, the New Tech NTS, the Korg New Tech NTS1, the one that's DIY, the little one that you put together, that's basically like an oscillator engine, like you'd put in the mini log or the monologue, and then the filter and effects on it, and it just sounds great, like a big synth. Yeah, and you can put other things through it, just make it an effects unit. And along those lines, the new bass, the Korg new bass, I think it sounds really good too, and I think that would be a good companion to the New Tech. Cool, Sonic Neutronic, you have the Craft 2.0. Awesome. Check out the new modal polysynth, like a version of the Craft Argon 8. Yes, I did just watch a couple videos. Yeah, it seems cool. It's too bad that they can only say competitive price so far. Competitive how to what? I just want info. you know. But yeah, that'd be great. Wavetable seems like the thing right now, huh? Just after the Hydrasynth was announced. So, but yeah, it sounds great, even though it'll sound better because it'll involve more voices than that version that he had in front of him right there. Yeah, so we're waiting on a lot of things on that, but it's already. But it's Wavetable's Wavetable, and you know what, working with Wavetable lately, that's what I've been doing, and what's that like may have like brought to me all sorts of epiphanies that are making me think totally differently about everything about studio related because of the fact that you can just have banks and banks of waves for oscillators, and that just kind of like puts the oscillator in a different place in your mind. Like, oh yeah, I could have a whole analog synth, right? Whole big analog synth. Or I could have that as one of my waves that I choose from in a wavetable and actually make it sound really good like a big analog synth. And now that I know that you really can do that, and all sorts of other things, organs, bells, everything. It's just great. It's great. I'm really excited about wavetable stuff. But that doesn't give me gas or anything because I have a lot of that to work with. I've just been working with it and it's been great. But you know, it's a limited bank of waves, of course. And I might get tired of them someday. Yeah, too many Synth Jam videos. I get too many notifications because I've subscribed to too many people to watch all of them. That's still a problem for me. Because I'm so busy. Yeah. That's why I want a simple workflow solution. So if I'm ever to pump out, pump out live shows and stuff, I'm going to want to have a library that's familiar to me that I can just access, just like, and have it not be an actual PC that has all the problems that a PC has. You don't have to feel that way. It's my failing. By the way, just disclaimer. Even though I don't have to disclaim probably around you guys. The Prophet 6. You bought the Prophet 6 last week. Okay. Yeah. To be honest, it's so good I look at all my other gear like toys. Even the Analog 4 makes me feel sick. That's pretty good praise. But I know how you feel. Right as I got the mono station, I'm like telling people it's the greatest synth in the whole wide world there ever was, ever will be. But I agree with the Prophet 6. You can't really get better than making good sounds on a Prophet 6, and that's the absolute best stuff I've worked with in the box is the Arturia V collection. And out of the V collection, all the greatest sounds by far came from the Prophet 6. And the Prophet 6 was my favorite. And I think a lot of other people feel that way too. Out of all the great synths there have been, if you put them all together and go side by side, the Prophet 6 tends to go like, what? Yeah. But I feel that way about when I've heard the Analog 4 a lot of times. So, but it's more limited in its, voices and in its broadness of sound, maybe. Its fullness. But even though it's full in a different way, it can be full in a different way. It's very firm and compared to the Prophets, I guess. It's the synth from Halloween 2, Day of the Dead, and Creep Show. Oh yeah. Don't remind me. Yeah, that's cool. That's great. That's great that you're so honest about that. I like to hear things like that because I look at Dave Smith and it's Yeah, like the Prophet 6, things like the Prophet 6 are a commitment. You got to jump off a bigger diving board to purchase something like that. And yeah, I don't know when I'm gonna get to the point where I'll have some kind of money set aside and go like, if I did, it would be a Prophet something, maybe maybe even Prophet X if I could. But that's a that's more expensive though, of course. But we don't have to. Obviously, you don't talk about money because yeah, you can manifest something no matter how long it takes, no matter how many other things it takes to sell or whatever. You can balance it off what you balance it off of. The Prophet is a clean beast, not a crazy modulator synth. But I honestly don't like overmodulated sounds anyway. I have some crazy iPod stuff for that. Yeah. Um, I haven't watched the Halloween movies much, actually. That's a gap that I have there. Just the first one. Yeah, cool. But I'd imagine from that era. And yeah, clean beast. It can certainly do your gamut of sounds, all different types of sounds. I have that sort of gripe about most presets on synths as you scroll through them, is that they tend to start out just always too wacky, too modulated, as you say, and instead of being slight variants of things you'd use more often, like synths or strings, more strings and less sequences, because that's cool and stuff, but when you're making music, you're like, well, I don't want to just use that. Right? Yes, we were 80s kids. I was definitely an 80s kid. Um yeah, I liked all the sounds. I don't think synth pop does the 80s justice at all, and it kind of angers me. uh, oh, was I doing that? I was. Oh no. Yeah, yeah, so when I all the time I've had the RC505, I've never tried to use it as a looper. Well, instead I just kind of like always like looked at it and uh I wanted a mixing desk where I could put tracks into and sync them up so that they were actually like after the fact, so they're actually in sync when I put the tracks together. So yeah, the 707 is kind of like what the RC505 hasn't been for me, because it was just for somebody else in terms of that. But I've used it for all its other wonderfulness, like the fact that I use it as the audio interface. Like, this is my computer audio interface that I'm using right now. It's my sound card. And it's my effects unit, and I can put lots of reverb on my voice, and I've already have too much, probably, in most people's opinion. And, so the RC, I don't know what the future, my future is with the RC505, because I'm gonna want a straightforward audio interface. It's just an audio interface at some point because of certain things. It's a wonderful beast. If I became a looper or a beatboxer, it would be so wonderful. But okay, so my original idea for it is like, oh, well, that can be all my backing tracks. But it ended up being so hard to record down backing tracks and play or sing on top of them and record that. I wanted it to actually be something I could sequence, and that's why I started going in the box and wanting to check out sequencers in the first place. Right? So I'm just like, I'm bearing my my mind, like this has been my 3-year mind of just like, I don't just want to do this based on what's there and just being well, this is the best thing there is, even though it's weird. I wanted something to fall in line with what I had wanted in the first place, and the 707 is that, actually. Because I didn't want anything special, and it's nothing special, I don't think. It's a kind of a mishmash of things that you could have gotten in various other forms already for the last 20 years. But I think it's a good workflow. Anyway, I'm gonna, for me it's, let's see the time. For me it's exactly 3:01 a.m. in the morning. And I'm gonna get up and at like 6:30 and go over at 7, and I know it's Saturday, but I'm gonna go bring my daughter to this breakfast, and which is cool, and it's gonna be awesome. And hopefully I'll get a nap tomorrow. Awesome. 6:02. Wow, you're up early. I put more reverb on that, didn't I? Yeah. Yeah. Flow is everything. You got the force, but it doesn't flow. Not yet, anyway. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, see, no shame in it. We all have our kind of quirks of just like, I want to, it's like, I want to work this way, I want to work that way, but I also want to learn it and work with you, but we hit walls. So, 11 a.m. Okay, so it's 11 a.m. for you, a little bit more reasonable. Cool. Got up at 3. Yeah, you got up at 3. Oh man, I used to do that on a consistent basis during a certain era, up on the mountain. It's interesting. You have first breakfast and then you have second breakfast. Definitely. Alrighty. Well, thank you both for coming tonight. You're the best of pals to come and just hang and speak somewhat on the subject that I had wanted to on Walton's Mountain. Yeah, on Crystal Mountain in my case, actually. Yeah. Fun times. The funner times are now just starting. Good night, John Boy. Yeah. Good show. Good everything. Good night.